I remember my childhood fondly and with nostalgia. I also remember my dad, who passed this same period 5 years ago on 11th of November, 2015. Rest in peace, Dad. He was the best dad ever. He was so hands-on, shaping our character, our values, and our belief systems, whilst weaving the fabric that keeps us so tightly knit as a family to this day. Two memories stand out. The long holidays. We used to look so forward to the long holidays because we were allowed to accompany Dad, who served for 35 years with the Nigerian Railway Corporation and retired as Director, Signal and Communications, on his railway tours from Lagos in the south, the then capital of Nigeria, to either of Jos, Kaduna, or Kano in the north, via the northeast or the northwestern lines. Those tours were a brilliant scheme of his that allowed him to work, monitoring the signal and communications assets across 3,500 kilometers of narrow gauge railway network, whilst spending time with his children. The railways were built in the early 1900s. At the time, and this is 40 to 45 years ago, the railways were critical for moving produce from the north to the southern seaports. Also, the railway was used for intra and interstate passenger movement. My elder sister went to school at Federal Government Girls College, Bida, in Niger State, in the North Central, by rail. Can you imagine that ever being possible in Nigeria? Secondary school kids being dropped off by their parents, often traveling unaccompanied from the south to the north and vice versa. I traversed the country by rail. It was adventure and education rolled into one. A second family tradition that remains vivid in my memory is the annual trips, road trips that we used to make from Lagos to our hometown, Onitsha, in Anambra State, one of the 5 southeastern states. With my dad at the wheel, we were assured of a fast and safe road journey to the east. He prided himself on doing the journey within 6 hours. I remember whenever we came to Asaba, the town, just before the river crossing to Onitsha, we would all come alive, struggling to be the first to sight the iconic crisscross design of the River Niger bridge. The bridge, a steel truss bridge, was built to connect the southwest to the southeastern regions of the country. It was also a critical piece of infrastructure that was used to link the entire South Corridor from the southwest through parts of the south-south to the southeast. And today, it remains very important as a logistic trade route for goods coming from the Lagos port, needing to go to the southeast and further north. It is difficult to describe the emotions that bridge evoked in all of us, but suffice it to say, it meant we were home. The bridge was opened in 1965. 55 years on, it is still the only piece of road infrastructure linking the two regions, but that is about to change. A second Niger bridge is currently being constructed. Come 2023, all things being equal, the second Niger bridge should be open for business. My childhood memories were built on a solid foundation of infrastructure, being developed apace with the growth of the nation. Through the lenses of my childhood eyes, I imagined a future that would equally be supported by necessary infrastructure to keep us moving onwards and upwards. Now, 40 years on, it seems a good time as any to assess the progress and to reimagine for the next 50. So, join me for a deep dive into the state of southeastern Nigeria's infrastructure. By infrastructure, I mean the physical and non-physical assets that are deployed towards economic development, productivity, and growth. And I divide this into two groups, core and non-core. Core infrastructure covers road, rail, air, inland and sea ports, energy, water, real estate, information and digital technology. Non-core infrastructure, or social, includes agriculture, healthcare, education, and sports. Infrastructure touches every aspect of our lives. Quite simply put, it is the substructure that underpins the functioning of a place. The southeast of Nigeria has 22 million fiercely independent and entrepreneurial people on 30,000 kilometers square of landmass. It's divided into 5 states of Abia, Enugu, Ebonyi, Anambra, and Imo states. We are the smallest population of indigenous people on the smallest landmass as a region in Nigeria. The Southeast region is blessed with more than 70% arable land and water resources, and it is rich in largely untapped mineral resources, including kaolin, iron and zinc ore, limestone, coal, oil, and gas. Let's take a few minutes to examine the status of infrastructure in the Southeast. The Nigeria National Integrated Infrastructure Master Plan, issued in 2014, indicated that Nigeria needed $3 trillion of investment over a 30-year period in order to bridge its infrastructure deficit and to meet its development goals required to support a population that's set to double by 2050 to 400 million. Of that $3 trillion, 419 billion is earmarked for the Southeast, requiring a spend of 4.2 billion per annum for the next 10 years on the accelerated path. To put this in context, 4.2 billion is the cost of developing a 2,000 megawatts gas-fired power plant serving 2.5 million people. This is according to the standards of peer nations like Brazil, because our population size is the same at 200 million, and South Africa. Since 2014, when $10 billion was set aside for capital expenditure, Nigeria has not budgeted more than $8 billion towards capital projects. And budget implementation has been less than 60%. Now, considering that the states are quite dependent on their statutory allocations from the Federation account, it is most likely that the low investment rate and budget performance is equally reflected at state levels. My mom currently lives in Lagos, but her true heart's desire is to go and live in her home in Onitsha. Well, we, her children, will not let her because we're very concerned about access and healthcare. Access into and in Onitsha is not easy these days. Travel from Lagos or Abuja, where I live, is now an increasingly torturous 8 to 12-hour journey. At her age, and she turned 80 recently, she needs quality and specialist healthcare for the elderly, and also quality emergency services for the unexpected. Let's consider 5 key aspects of infrastructure that I believe form a good backbone: transport, power, water, healthcare, information and communications technology. Transport. Nigeria has a road density of 21 per 100 kilometers square of land, compared to South Africa's 30. Now, South Africa has 58 million, a population of 58 million, on a 1.2 million kilometers square of landmass, compared to Nigeria's current 200 million people on just under 1 million kilometers square of landmass. This means that there is more road per square kilometer of land for the South African population, which is less than 1/3 the size of Nigeria's. Rail. There has been decades of non-investment and maintenance of the railway network in Nigeria. Now, this is not unconnected to the significant cost of developing rail infrastructure. In addition, the railways are under the exclusive purview of the federal government. The current government plans to build 2 new lines in the north and along the southern coast at a cost of $12.9 billion. They also plan to rehabilitate and complete 4 other existing lines. For the southeast, there are plans to reconstruct and upgrade the eastern line that goes to the northwest from a narrow gauge rail line to standard gauge at a cost of $14 billion. This is laudable. However, the federal government, in a spirit of renewal and change, may consider opening up the railway sector to private sector players. Power. Installed capacity in Nigeria is currently 13,000 megawatts, according to the Minister of Power. However, Nigeria has only distributed a maximum of 5,200 megawatts, recorded in 2017. Enugu Electricity Distribution Company is the company that has the license to market and distribute electricity in the Southeast franchise area. Enugu Disco has a maximum capacity of 1,078 megawatts for the area. Now, assuming it is operating at full capacity, which it is not, and barring the technical losses, this maximum capacity is able to service, again by South African standards, a population of 1.2 million people. This is grossly inadequate for the region. Enugu Disco plans to make additional investments of up to 40 billion naira over the next 5 years to improve its distribution infrastructure and its network. However, this is a fraction of what is required. Water. The Nigeria National Water Policy set consumption standards at 120 liters per day, served with full reticulation in consumer premises in urban areas. Reticulation is the process by which water is collected from a source, say the River Niger, and passed through a system of pipes, treated and distributed to consumers. By policy standards, And if we assume 70% of the southeastern population are urban, this is just a rough estimate, we should expect the southeastern region to be producing 1.8 billion liters of water per day. The 5 states combined have a capacity to produce 540 million liters of water per day. This is 30% of what is required. And in fact, it is less because some of the water schemes are currently not operational. Interestingly, Ebonyi State is the best performing state on this metric. Ebonyi accounts for over 50% of the capacity in the region. Potable water, safe and drinkable water, is non-negotiable in my reimagined Southeast. Healthcare. The inadequacies of our healthcare systems, from primary through to tertiary, were thoroughly laid bare when COVID-19 landed in Nigeria. In the Southeast, quality specialist healthcare for non-communicable diseases like cancer, kidney failure, brain and heart diseases, and specialty critical care equipment, as well as standard emergency equipment, are few and far between. People often travel to Lagos or Abuja or abroad if they can afford it for treatment. This is a major failure as regards the health and well-being of a people, and it simply must be prioritized. Information and communications technology. I've included this as a priority area because more than ever, COVID has forced us into the digital age. Did you ever contemplate that you'll be forced to stay indoors for 3 months with very limited movement? Well, life did not stop because of ICT. We have embraced everything digital, and social media is now in force. The power that social media unleashes, the speed of information dissemination is such a threat that there are currently calls by the government to censor social media. Now, the double-edged side of social media aside, technology is a force for good and efficient development. The Eastern region, if it wants to remain relevant, must pay attention to ICT and provide the backbone infrastructure required to support the region. So this is where we are. How do we close the gap? The Southeast population is projected to double in 30 years to 44 million. Are we prepared or preparing for this? How do we sustain economic activity, productivity, and progress? I note that there are some national and regional initiatives. At the national level, there are conversations currently to create an infrastructure development funding vehicle targeting 15 trillion naira over 5 years. This is spearheaded by the central bank. It is an ambitious funding plan, but we need such bold and aggressive plans in order to force change. In the Southeast, some regional initiatives have been introduced. SEREDEC, the Southeast Region Economic Development Company, is a private-led effort focused on promoting sustainable development in the southeast of Nigeria. According to the chairman in December 2019, they have recorded some major achievements, including the takeoff of Enyimba Economic City. Enyimba is a greenfield development located on 9,000 hectares of land in Abia State. I'm very excited at the prospect of Enyimba Economic City because it is set to transform the region into a manufacturing and industrial powerhouse. fully loaded with world-class infrastructure. There are two other proposals currently for a Southeast Development Fund and a Southeast Stabilization Fund, backed by state governments and Ohaneze Ndigbo, the Apex Igbo socio-political group. These are all welcome, given the enormity of the problem we have to solve. But how else can we move the Southeast forward? Some thoughts. Focus on regional collaborative development. This is a job for the governors and leadership of Ndigbo. Can we set clear regional goals and determine what we need to achieve them by when? Can we agree to prioritize regional objectives over state? For example, there are 2 airports currently being planned in Anambra State and in Ebonyi State. From a regional perspective, are they necessary? And are they appropriately located? Can we agree to adopt a code that says governance is a continuum? Let us finish worthwhile projects of previous governments rather than abandon them because they are someone else's ideas. Financing alternatives. From the amounts indicated by the National Infrastructure Master Plan, it is clear that the budget of the southeastern states will not be able to accommodate this. So clearly, funding models must necessarily encompass outside sources, all forms of capital from all parties, private sector, international, local. Can we also seek and leverage development financing through available technical assistance facilities and capacity building funds? There are specialist firms and development financial institutions that provide such financing. And the last point, what I call the trifecta of policy, regulation, and judicial systems, required to create the enabling environment to attract investment partners and sustainable market systems. We are competing with other regions and countries for investment dollars. If the trifecta is not present or is not right, the money simply won't come. In closing, I will say, let us take the learnings and the opportunity presented by the COVID-19 disruption. It is possible to do different. Our population and landmass, albeit the least within Nigeria, are matters of fact that can be leveraged with unity of purpose. Lagos State is on 3,345 kilometers square of land and accommodates, according to the official records, 12.5 million people. Yet, Lagos State is the #1 performing state in Nigeria, economy and development-wise. Ojekwe, if we agree, we can create a region that is a center of excellence, built on a solid bedrock of functional infrastructure. Let us agree. We can and we must.